The Senate has been meeting with heads of security agencies in the last 2 weeks to look for solutions to the problems of proliferation of arms, killings and kidnappings across the country. The House of Representatives is also in the middle of enacting fresh legislation intended to address these problems.
A bill for an act to establish a National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons has scaled second reading in the House of Representatives. The bill seeks to regulate and prohibit the proliferation of small arms and light weapons in line with the Economic Community of West African States ECOWAS Convention 2006 on small arms and light weapons. With the spate of insurgency across Nigeria, it has become necessary that as mop-ups of illegal weapons are being carried out in the country, prevention of these small arms from falling into the wrong hands is ensured. This is what the bill to establish a commission against small arms is trying to do.
House do consider a bill for an act to establish the National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons, charged with responsibility to, amongst other things, regulate and prohibit proliferation of small arms, ammunition, and light weapons.
There was no division among the lawmakers for an issue as serious as this.
It shows clearly that there is a failure on the part of our security outfits.
Some of these guns came through either through the border or through the port. How did they get here?
However, the question of whether the bill contradicts the already existing Firearms Act was brought up during the debate.
The Firearms Act is an act that deals generally with regular firearms. I've tried to comb through the bill. There is nothing that talks about a penalty if you flout the law.
It is not attempting to amend the Firearms Act, and therefore the provision that the leader highlighted that should be one that should carry penalties would not find its place in this bill.
The debate on this bill is coming at a time when the Senate has been meeting with heads of security agencies on how to address the multi-headed problems of the proliferation of firearms, killings and kidnappings across the country. On Thursday, May 31st, the Senate received the National Security Advisor, Babagana Monguno, at plenary. The National Security Advisor came to brainstorm with lawmakers on how to address the multi-headed security problems plaguing the country.
Received brief from the National Security Advisor on the proliferation of dangerous firearms, spate of killings by terrorists and kidnapping of hoodlums across this country. He answered questions from distinguished senators bordering on security insurgents, terrorism, kidnapping, coordination of the security agencies, and in general killings in the country. Thereafter, we directed that he submits a funding request similar to other head of security agencies that had come before us, and also submit consideration for where relevant amendments to existing laws involving security agencies needs consideration.
The special funding for security agencies is expected to come as a supplementary budget and is separate from the $1 billion approved by President Buhari to address insecurity in the country. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has passed a bill for an act to amend the provisions of the 2010 Electoral Act. The bill, which is different from that which the President refused to assent to, contains the legalization of the card reader voting system, safekeeping of the voters' register, what happens in the event of death of a candidate, among others, and does not contain the clause to reorder the election sequence.
The House in the Committee of the Whole considered a report on a bill for an act to amend the provision of the Electoral Act number 6, 2010 to further improve the electoral process and for related matters, and approved clauses 1 to 2, approved clauses 3 as amended, approved clauses 4 to 8, deferred consideration on clause 36, approved clauses 37 to 41, the explanatory memorandum, and long title of the bill. Those in favor of the motion that the report considered in the Committee of the Whole be adopted, say aye. Those against, say nay. the highest average.
May 29, 2018 marked the third year of the Buhari administration and the final days of this administration. It's also the last days of the 8th National Assembly. We're taking a step back to look at the last 3 years of the National Assembly and examine some of the key highlights of the 8th Assembly. We spoke with a cross-section of Nigerians to get their views on the high and low points of the 8th National Assembly and what the issues are.
I think the legislature have done their bit to keep this democracy intact, because if you look at last 2 assemblies, we did our bit. Look at 7th assembly, we did our bit. Now we are here and we are still doing the much we can do. Having said that, I think we have not done really bad. For 8th assembly, we've passed more bills than in the previous years. Apart from these bills, the motions that we bring on the floor of the House, there is no incident that you don't see the National Assembly bringing it to the fore. And there are certain resolutions that we come up with because of those issues that affect us, primarily because we belong to Nigerian society and because we are representing people, and of course, every other time we are expected to be with our constituents.